Hey everybody, welcome to John Wayne Lied to You, the storytelling podcast featuring me, John Wayne, your fine friend of friendly fellows, here to weave more words together for your mind, your body, that greasy film that covers your body, and all of the disgusting hairs that drive themselves up from beneath. That's right, everybody. We're here again this week, back at Old Wayne Manor, nestled in the old Library of Evil in the East Wing over here. Happy to be back to record another podcast. I'm been having a good week. I'm sitting here. Don't you worry about old Johnny, Uncle Johnny. He's got a nice full brimming pipe of Grandpappy's medicine. No Frosty Tallboy today. Actually, it's been replaced by a nice cup of Joe. That's coffee, for those of you not in the know. That's because it's in the morning. It's early in the morning today. I got up, I went to the gym, and came back, showered up, and recording a podcast first thing because I am headed out the door to Austin this afternoon. As I talked about in the last episode, or probably the last two episodes, doing a reading at House Party or whatever it's called, Couch DIY House Party Volume 2. It doesn't matter because by the time you hear this on Monday, I'll have already done it, so you can't go back in time. Unless you can, at which point, please reach out to me on Twitter at johnwayneisdead, and let's talk. But anyway, it's at my good buddy and fellow author and very talented writer Lucas Mangum's house, and it's a all-out punk rock kind of DIY show. The last one we did back in April was pretty fucking badass. It had an awesome feel to it. There was a great energy in the room. There were so many great people there, writers and friends, and it was a great time. So I'm expecting nothing less from this. And I'm going to go get to see my old friend Jay Lee up there in Austin. He knows who he is. Be hanging with him tonight. So so I'm excited. So I'm getting things out of the way. I got to get the podcast done here. I got to do some writing, and I got to get all my things together. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve for this reading that I'm going to do. I'm going to do, of course, a reading from my latest book that you've heard all about on every episode, Death Packs and Left-Hand Paths. That's right, from Grindhouse Press. I'm kind of doing a little nice spooky presentation for my reading. So I got to put all that stuff together, and then I'm shooting up to Northside to meet with old Chris Jett, and we're gonna jam out on some John Wayne is Dead practice for a couple hours, and then I am on the way to Austin, folks. That's right. So holla if you hear me. So no, I'm feeling good. Also, another great thing this week, last Friday, a week from today actually, was Friday the 13th, and my good buddy Sean Oz, who is an awesome, amazing, award-winning tattoo artist who's been tattooing me for about 15 years, came into town to do some work. He moved to Denver recently, and he started my back in June, my back piece, and he worked on it for a few hours, and it was great to catch up with him. He's a great guy. He's got a pretty badass YouTube channel at Sean Oz, OZZ. If you want to check that out, he does pretty awesome vlogs about his adventures and a lot of drone footage, and then he shows his art and drawing and stuff, which leads me to the next thing. So I mentioned on the last podcast that I'm working with Nick P on our show that's coming up in January that's going to be on the YouTube channel, and we're experimenting with some animation stuff. So I was doing some real primitive stuff where I was actually drawing. I drew all these pictures, scanned them in, put them in Photoshop, painted them, lined them up in iMovie. It was like very primitive, but basically I had a Dracula that would raise his arm and open his mouth and like he was talking. And I thought it was pretty cool, and I showed Sean. And I was like, hey, look at this. I'm working on something like this. I got to figure out a better way to do it, though. This is like very time consuming and painstaking and all this. And he said, let me show you something real quick. And he pulls out from his backpack his iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil. He brings up a program called Procreate and shows me all the stuff he's done in it, which is blowing my mind. And then he hands me the pad and the pencil, and he says, here. He selects a pen option. He's like, just draw. And I put the pen down on the screen, started to draw, and was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It blew my mind. It's I don't know if you have or haven't messed with one of these. It's very exciting. It's pressure sensitive in a way that like I can't even wrap my mind around. Like you could turn the pencil on the side and shade like with the side of the pencil like it's a real pencil. The future, man. I don't know. Oh, also, if you have that time travel technology we talked about earlier, bring me back like the new one of that, so I can already start getting good at it now before it comes out. But actually, it's pretty cool, friends. So I went and invested in one of those on Saturday and the pencil, and I've been rocking and rolling with it for about a week, and I probably find out something new that I can do in that program like every day that I mess with it. So it's a work in progress, and I'm learning, but it's opening up some very cool doors. So I'm very excited and happy and to work on that kind of stuff. It opens up a lot of new paths for us to take. So that's cool. So look out for that. And I'll probably start posting up some little short animations. I'm thinking about putting that Dracula, posting that up on probably my Instagram and Facebook just to show. If you don't follow me already, follow me at johnwayneisdead on Facebook. On Instagram. My Facebook is just my name, John Wayne Communale, and Twitter is at johnwayneisdead as well. So all of that good things moving right along into the show here. The thing that we've been doing for the last few episodes, and I'm just keeping it around because I kind of like it, is the 3-card tarot reading that I've been doing. So interesting pool today, interesting reading. I kind of got a lot out of this, I think, today. So today I pulled before the show. I pulled 3 cards. And they were the Sun, the Seven of Cups, and the Hierophant, or Aerophant. I'm not I'm embarrassed, I don't know how to pronounce that, but Aerophant. Anyway, so interesting thing about the Sun. See, before I'm shuffling up the cards, I'm trying to think about what's going on in my life, try to give a little the direction to the reading, right? Yes, Cerberus, we hear you, buddy. And I was just thinking, okay, I'm going up to do a performance. I'm still promoting this book, trying to find new ways to do that, and just explore new opportunities with this show and writing this skits. And I just finished a new book that I'm sending to the publisher here in about a week to begin the editing process. So there's all these things that's kind of going on in my mind, and I'm trying to sort them all out. So I was thinking of that while I pulled the cards, kind of get some direction what I was doing. So the Sun was the first card I pulled, and what I got out of that, the Sun it's a sign of optimism and fulfillment. There's a child riding a horse in front of this Sun, right? And it's a naked child, and he's riding the horse, with his arms held out to his sides, and he's got no saddle while he's riding it. And that child itself is the happiness of our inner spirit when we're in tune with ourselves. So I took that as like, I have been feeling down lately. I've been getting dry. I bout with depression quite regularly, and sometimes it's worse than others, but it's like, man, if I could just, maybe there's something a little out of tune. I just need to get in tune with myself and bring it back in, maybe dial it back somewhere, get those settings clicked in right, and then that happiness could probably come naturally. And then him riding the horse with no hands and saddle represents perfect control between conscious and subconscious. Now, this is interesting to me because I've always, for years and years and years, maintained this theory that our brains are much more powerful than we realize or know, or even know, or have the capacity to know. And I'm very interested in like figuring out how to expand that, how to tap into those other parts of our brain that could maybe be vibrating at a different frequency and allow us to have access to, I don't know, knowledge or communications or something. I know that sounds crazy, but if our subconscious is controlling a whole lot of shit, wouldn't it be awesome to be in tune with that consciously and be able to flip back and forth and share that control? So that's what I took from that, because I'm always kind of trying to do that anyway and figure out. So that's cool. So next card, Seven of Cups. Now this is kind of a daunting, like almost like a warning type of thing. It's a man standing in front of 7 cups that are floating, and there's 7 different treasures in each of the cups. Some of them are real, some of them are imagined. For example, there's knowledge, power, companionship, status. All of the things that are in these cups are tempting to the man, tempting to you. But some of them have hidden dangers, which makes sense. You want to go for something because you're attracted to it in some way, and you don't want to think about the pitfalls or the people you'll hurt or hurting yourself to get them. And then you kind of get so far down that path, and it's destructive, but you're so far, you're just like, I've made it this far, I'm going to keep going. And that can be dangerous and devastating sometimes, but it's like it suggests you choose wisely. Some of what you're seeing is a delusion of the imagination. So I take that as like, okay, so there are things set in front of me. I have to choose certain paths. I have to pick and choose what I do and dedicate my energies to, and so I don't burn myself out or run too thin. And then there's other things that are like maybe ways to be lazy or workarounds or shortcuts or status or whatever. And I take this as, okay, think twice about the choices that I'm going to make in the near future, and really weigh the risks and dangers that may come with some of those things, and make my decisions accordingly. So I took that for that. Now the last card, the Hierophant, it's like a priest. It's very similar to the Magician card, and he's holding up his left hand. And in the Magician card, the magician is channeling magic and power from the earth and vibrate and the energy of the earth. And with the Hierophant, arm raised represents channeling power through society. I take that as through people, through his friends, family, that kind of thing. He's maybe taking that power in a positive way. On the throne he's sitting on, there's crossed keys in front of it, and interesting, these represent a balance between conscious and subconscious. So this came back around again. So that's why I think it's a little, I'm going to dwell on that a little bit. Think about that. Try to create that balance. What am I missing here? There's 2 guys in front of him that are facing him. And basically, the Hierophant is tasked with bringing people into a group or club, or not necessarily your group or club, but the group or club or society or family that they're supposed to be in, so that they can take on their appointed roles. Now, that's interesting to me because I like to talk shop with people when they want to talk shop, like as far as writing or music. But I like to talk about the discipline behind it. Like, hey, what do you do? When people ask me for advice on stuff like that, I'm pretty hardcore. I don't pull any punches about the amount of work that goes into something like this and succeeding. And I, by no means, think that I have succeeded. I'm still working extremely hard to get to where I want to go. But, I because of this type of thing, I've had a lot of interesting conversations with people in different parts of the arts or music and things like that. So I take this as like maybe, take those conversations a little bit more serious, or I don't know, with a little bit more thought behind them while I'm talking, because it could help this person get to the group or get to the place or wherever it is they need to go. Yeah. And so I've certainly had conversations with people who in my life who have helped me to do that. So now I kind of look at this like, okay, I want to help people get to where they need to go, and give the best advice to my ability and my experience, I guess. Anyway, that was kind of long-winded, but man, I gotta say, this is some good Grandpappy's medicine. I just got it. It's a new batch, changed up the strains, and I'm feeling good. So maybe a little long-winded on that, but that's okay. We're having fun, right, guys? So that's the reading. Now, to get into today's story, I want to say first of all, last week I was on another podcast. I was a guest. It's another podcast on the Mockingbird Network called Pot and Plot with Josh and Steph. And I love those guys. I've been on the show once before, and this time we watched The Wrestler. The episode is up on Stitcher and iTunes, potandplot.com, I believe, mockingbirdnetwork.com. Give it a listen. I went back and listened to it, and I think it was a really good conversation about the movie and about how it made us feel, actually. But I was so high throughout it because you know, the premise of the podcast is you just smoke. You pretty much smoke from the minute like Josh and Steph got to my house till the minute like I walked them to their cars. Like we were just nonstop smoking. So it was good. But there's if you're unfamiliar, Marissa Tomei plays a stripper in this and movie, and she has an odd relationship with Randy the Ram Robinson's character, the main character. What's his name? It escapes me now, but Mickey Rourke. Yeah, that's him. Anyway, so we got kind of on a topic of strip clubs, and it started making me think of strip clubs and strippers, and I decided to visit an old story from back in my youth days. This involves my good friend Nick P., who's been mentioned before here and there. This is a story lovingly known as Stripper Rash. So, when the topic of strip clubs comes up in conversation, at least between my friends and circles that I run in, it's usually a very hot or cold response. I realize there's a lot of people out there that don't like strip clubs or think they're bad news, and that's totally fine. A lot of my friends, like a lot of the people I know, I guess, their reaction initially is like, I don't know, I'm not really into strip clubs. To which I like to respond, well, you're a complete liar. So good luck trying to convince yourself that you are not happy. No, I guess I could see it, you not being into it. I know there's probably like girlfriends and wives out there that definitely would not want their significant other to be at a strip club. But let me tell you why I like strip clubs. There's like some kind of intangible, weird, je ne sais quoi, I don't know, feeling about being in strip clubs that's naughty. And not sexy, not like, yes, sexy naughty, but like, there's a feeling of I'm not supposed to be here, even though you're totally allowed to be there. It's like, I don't know if it's because people are, there's naked ladies or what, but it seethes with a feeling of, to me, like you're getting away with something. I kind of feel like, and I don't go into strip clubs to like be like, trolling for the chicks or wanting to, mess around or anything. I just like the environment. I mean, I like ladies. I love the ladies. I'm a fan of the naked female form. And I'm a fan of beer and friends and music. You put all these things together, I really don't see how that could be wrong or bad, but, they found a way to screw it up. Anyway, so, now, and I'm not like a guy that's at the strip club all the time, but I'll go if we're going to go and we're going to have fun. I'll have fun, basically, is what I'm saying. However, my first trip to a strip club went a little bit differently, and may be surprising as to why I still like them today after this experience. But I was 18 years old. I was working at the video game store with the illustrious, great and powerful Nick P. as my manager, and our assistant manager was this dude Matt, and Matt was like the craziest motherfucker I probably have met ever, and I've met a lot of crazy motherfuckers. the thing that was so interesting about Matt, and I love him to death, he was like this tall, skinny, wiry white dude with short blonde hair that he usually kept like spiky but real short. And he would wear like, he always wore like rayon shirts, you know, and that buttoned up and colorful. And like Z Cavarici pants and shit. And, which were cool, but like this was way after they were cool, like back in the day. I don't know, he just like dressed like that, but he didn't fucking care, you know? And he was goofy as hell. And he'd just say things like, did you bring the honey baked ham? Or you know, you want to eat a baby? Like shit like that, man. Like, you know, don't forget to shave the ham. Like he was obsessed with ham. But anyway, he was a great character, and we're at work on one day, all three of us together, because the shift change is pretty much happening, and Matt and I are closing. Nick's getting ready to leave, and we get on the topic of strip clubs or whatever, and I think Nick P throws at me like, have you ever been to a strip club, Poindexter? And I'm like, no, or probably, then I was probably like, no, I sure haven't, Mr. Nick. And he was like, pretty emphatically slammed his hand down on the counter and was like, that's it, we're going to the strip club tonight. And he just kind of packed up his stuff and was like, I'll be back at closing time to pick you guys up, rather ominously. And then he just left. So Matt and I are kind of like, the whole time, you know, we're joking, we're talking about like, oh geez, are we really gonna go to the strip club? Like, that store closed at 11 o'clock at night, which is fucking weird. Why are you in a video game store up until 11? Anyway, like 10:55, this motherfucker Nick P rolls up in his little green Civic that he had at the time, and he's comes in. He's like, "You motherfuckers ready? We're going." And we're like, "Yeah. What's the deal? What's the plan?" He's like, "Okay, here's the deal." So I was only 18. There's two kinds of strip clubs, at least in Houston, at least in our area. So there's like the fully nude. There's 21 and up clubs, which are topless only, and they serve alcohol, and there's, you know, your drink minimum, and you pay a cover, get in. Then there's the 18 and up strip clubs, which are fully nude. No, they do not sell alcohol. You bring your own. And this is where Nick says he's going to take us to a fine and wonderful establishment called Fantasy, actually. And it is still in operation to this day, folks. I drive by it quite often and have wistful feelings as I do. But this was a place. It's right off the side of the freeway. Pretty dark building with neon light, just the perfect spot and perfect look that you would expect a strip club to have on the side of the freeway. Easy access, on ramp, all those things. So he says, we're going there. We go out to his car. He had a cooler in the back with a case of beer he'd put in there and a bottle of Jack Daniels. And then he had also rolled 3 blunts, which was amazing. So we get in the car. Matt and I leave our cars there. We get in Nick's car, and he starts driving us. And we're smoking these blunts on the way. And, you know, I'm just like kind of like not knowing really what to expect. Now, here's another thing that's really sucks about these strip clubs, the one that we went to, Fantasies. It's all nude, BYOB. But here's where they get you, man. You get it. You get up to the front to get ID. There's one of the strippers is working the door, right? The booth, the money. And she's like flirting with everybody, of course. She has a big tip jar right in front of her full of money. But it costs $20 to get in. Like $20 is your cover. And then there's a $20 cooler fee. And then there was a fee per bottle, which I don't remember, like for liquor bottles. I don't remember what it was. It might as well have been $20 too. So us coming in, you know, we actually pulled a fast one and hid our bottle of Jack Daniels under the beer and the ice. So we were like, all we have is this cooler beer. And they, you know, we paid all this money. And then the girl's like, got anything for me? And I think all of us being suckers, like, just like, probably put like a 5 in her. I mean, it was a racket. We go in. This place is like dark as fuck. It's really like kind of run down, dirty. Nothing like the movies that I had seen, at least up to that point. And I'm kind of like, oh man. But I look over and there's this main stage in the middle of everything, and there's this completely naked woman up there just dancing. And I'm like, well, this isn't all that bad. Maybe a fresh coat of paint, maybe a little light in here might be pretty nice. So we go and we find ourselves a table. The three of us, we sit down. I am, of course, marked with a bracelet that says I'm under 21, but you can play it pretty fast and loose in a strip club, just in case you didn't know that. So I just drank a beer with my other hand. And I remember we sat there, we watched some dances, and we were kind of watching, taking it all in. I'm kind of in the experience. I haven't worked up enough courage to go to the stage and lay out any dollars or anything like that yet. I'm kind of waiting to see somebody else, take the lead on that. Drinking some beers. Nick pulls out the bottle of whiskey, puts it on the table. We all kind of pass it around and take a pull. We're feeling good. Like, hey, yeah, this is, we're having a good night. Out of the corner of my eye, I see someone approaching us. I look over, and it's a stripper, one of the strippers. And she's topless, but she is wearing, like panties or bottoms or whatever the hell. And she was not like the strippers in the movies either. She was very weathered in the face. A phrase my father likes to use when describing such people like that, he would say, she looked like 40 miles of bad road. So, thank you, Dad, I'll use that. Her teeth weren't maybe in the greatest of places or shape, in that they looked like they might be in the wrong places in her mouth. And, don't take me wrong on this. As I said earlier, I love tits. They don't have to be big tits. I love small tits, all tits. But sometimes, it just doesn't work out for everybody. And I don't know if you've heard this term. I'm sure some of you have, but fried egg on a nail is how I would use to describe this fine woman's breasts. They were not my favorite, we'll say. So she sits down at our table, and it's like, hey boys, what's up? And like, I didn't know this at the time, but what this is like, if you sit down at a strip club for any amount of time, you're gonna get 5 or 6 strippers stop by your table, sit down, chat you up, because they want you to buy a dance. And that's what she was doing. And she's like, but it's so loud in there that when she's talking to us, she's having to lean in and whisper into our ear. So she's talking to Matt and Nick first, asking them for a dance, and I'm like, no. And then she asked for a beer, which we give her one of the beers, and then we all, she just takes the bottle of whiskey and is like, I want some of this, and takes a sip off the whiskey bottle, and I'm like, oh, gross, shit. And then she leans in very close to my ear to talk to me, and I can feel her like just hot whiskey and cum breath or whatever else is in there on my neck. And she's talking like, hey baby, wanna dance? And I'm like, no thank you ma'am, I'm fine. And she's like, well fuck you guys, and leaves rather abruptly. So we continue with our night, and it really was a lovely time, to be quite honest with you. We stayed till probably like 2, and went back to the software store, and got our cars and went home, went on our separate ways. Got home, I'm sure we all masturbated, of course. But I woke up the next morning, and I went into the bathroom, and I was brushing my teeth, and I looked on my neck. I've got like a a rash of some kind on my neck, on the sides of my neck. And I'm like, what is that? And then all of a sudden, the first thing I can think of is, oh my God, that stripper gave me some kind of something on my neck. Holy shit. It would be me. First time at a strip club, I get gonorrhea on my neck. Great. So So of course I'm kind of like freaked out because I don't know what it is, and I'm like, why do I have a rash on my neck all of a sudden? So I was closing again at the software store that night. Nick was there during the day, so I called up there and I asked him. I was like, hey man, do you have any like do you have a rash on your neck this morning or anything? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like a rash, like I got a rash on my neck. And he was like, I don't have any rashes on my neck. And I was like, man, I think that stripper gave it to me when she talked in my ear. And he's like, I think you're crazy. And I said, no, dude, I think that's what it is. And he's like, okay, I'll see you at work. So the rest of the afternoon, I just kind of like, I took a shower. I tried to wash it off. I stayed in my room. I didn't want my parents. I still lived at my house, you know. I didn't want them to see it and ask me anything. So I just kind of stayed in my room, threw on a collared shirt, went to work. I get to work and I show Nick and Matt, and they're like, I don't think so. But basically ripping on me, but I'm still terrified. Nick gives me a Benadryl and says, like, chill the fuck out. And I do, and I work, and it goes away. So I'm like, cool, awesome. But a couple days later, I was getting ready for work, and at the time, you know, I wore button-up shirts, or we had to wear collared shirts, but, you know, I was spritzed some cologne on and all that kind of stuff. And I remember my mom had just gotten me for maybe Christmas or birthday recently, Tommy Hilfiger Sport cologne. It had like a citrusy, weird musk taste flavor, whatever, scent to it. I was an idiot. I was just like, yeah, I want that. So I get myself all ready. I go to work, and I'm like itching my neck, and I realize that the stripper rash is back. And I'm like, oh shit. This is how sexually transmitted diseases work. You think they're gone, they come back on your neck. Fuck. So I'm freaked out again. I tell Nick at work, and he's pretty much relentlessly making fun of me as I have this meltdown freak out about how I'm going to have to go home and tell my parents that I let a stripper give me gonorrhea, syphilis on my neck, and I need to go to the hospital now. He gives me another Benadryl, tells me to chill out, and he kind of says, like, offhandedly, like, are you sure it's not something else? Did you, like, change soaps or something? Like, you know how you white people are allergic to everything? That's a joke between us. Nick, you know, Nick's not white, and I am, and that's okay with us. But he did coin the term lily white for me, and I think it fits. But anyway, so Nick's like, you know, kind of says that as an aside, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? No, this is serious. Stop fucking around. But when I went home and went to bed the next morning, I woke up, and I kind of thought about that as I was getting ready in the morning. You know, I'd taken another Benadryl. It had gone down. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I think we always use the same soap, you know, it's whatever mom buys. And looking in my cabinets, I'm looking, and then I see the bottle of Tommy Hilfiger Sport. I take it out, and I just do a quick light spray on my forearm of it. And I brush my teeth, and I get ready in the bathroom, and I just kind of monitor my arm. By the time I get back to my room to start getting dressed, a red, whelpy rash has begun to spread across the area that I sprayed onto my forearm. So it turns out that I was not given a sexually transmitted neck disease by a very veteran, we'll say, weathered stripper. I was allergic to Tommy Hilfiger Sport cologne. So I gave it to my brother. All right, folks, there you go. Another just dazzling tale of my idiotic adventures in life. Yeah, you know, today I definitely don't wear any cologne at all today. I'm just kind of a straight deodorant and soap man. I do smell nice all the time, though, I'll tell you that. But yeah, actually after that, I also found out I was allergic to Irish Spring soap. I found that out the hard way, through a very itchy experience. And it really, let me tell you something, it really sucks to have your body covered in an itchy red bumpy rash and get in the shower and then completely cover yourself in the thing that is giving you the itchy bumpy, well, rash. It's yeah, but doesn't kill you, makes you something. Anyway, thanks again for listening, you guys. I really appreciate it. Check everything out that I have coming up at johnwayneisdead.com, including the readings that I have going on, all the John Wayne is Dead shows with Chris Jett and myself, and anything else I may be doing out there. You can also watch all the videos that I've made, commercials for my books. You can buy all the books directly from there. Links take you right there. And there's other fun stuff. You can watch the podcast YouTube videos on there and look at the store. Everything's one-stop shop, so easy, just for you. Be sure to check me out on Instagram, Twitter at johnwayneisdead, all one word together, and John Wayne Comunale on Facebook. And keep sharing the podcast out there. We're growing little by little every week, and it makes my heart swell 2 sizes too small or large or whatever. So anyway, guys, I'm headed off to Austin. I will tell you all about it on the next episode. I'm sure it will have been a wonderful time. And I'm going to try to do maybe some Facebook Live stuff of the event while I'm up there, so look out for that. Or you can't, because this is in the future. Maybe I am from the future. Go back to my page and I'll keep it posted. But anyway, thanks again, you guys. Watch out for those strippers out there. If I only would have known about neck condoms back then, maybe all of this could have been avoided.
Mockingbird Network.